The first golden rays of sunshine were just tickling the tops of the tallest trees in the kingdom when Sir Dawnseeker was already wide awake. Sir Dawnseeker was not a very big knight, but he was a very brave and very busy one. And Sir Dawnseeker had one very important rule, a rule he followed every single day. Every quest, every adventure, every single bit of exciting business had to be completely, absolutely, 100% finished before the sun disappeared for the night. Because when the sun went down, the world became the night woods. And the night woods were unfamiliar, and Sir Dawnseeker was not a fan of things that were unfamiliar. He loved things that were bright and yellow and warm, like the sun. He loved things that were predictable, like his morning toast with honey. The night woods were not bright and yellow. They were dark and blue and full of shapes that didn't look like they did in the daytime. They made sounds that were not the cheerful chirping of daytime birds, but were instead soft hoots and rustles and whispers. And so Sir Dawnseeker's day began as it always did, with a loud and cheerful yawn and the clanking of his little suit of armor as he jumped out of bed. He had a quest to finish. His quest today was a magnificent one. It was a quest for the most perfect, most wonderful, most deliciously red strawberry in the entire kingdom. The queen of the picnic meadow had asked for it specially for her afternoon tea party. Sir Dawnseeker polished his shield until it shone like a second sun. He packed a tiny napkin for the strawberry. And he set off, his boots making a happy clomp, clomp, clomp sound on the cobblestone path. The day was perfect for a quest. The sun was a friendly, familiar face in the sky. Bees buzzed a familiar buzzing tune as they flew from flower to flower. Sir Dawnseeker marched past the giggling brook, which giggled its familiar, gurgly giggle. He tipped his helmet to the old oak tree, which stood in its familiar, sturdy spot. Everything was just as it should be. He found the strawberry patch right where he expected it, basking in the familiar, warm sunlight. And there, in the very center, was the queen of all strawberries. It was bigger and redder and more perfect than he had even imagined. Carefully, oh so carefully, he picked the magnificent strawberry and wrapped it in his napkin. He placed it gently in the little basket he carried. Quest complete, and with hours and hours to spare before sundown, Sir Dawnseeker felt very proud and very successful. He decided to take a different path home, a path that wound along the edge of the whispering woods, just to see something new, but still in the friendly, familiar sunlight. He whistled a happy tune as he walked, the tune of a knight who has done his job well. But then a most unexpected thing happened. A fluffy white dandelion seed, called a wishmaker, floated right past Sir Dawnseeker's nose. It was so beautiful and so twirly that Sir Dawnseeker couldn't help but turn his head to watch it dance on the breeze. It floated this way and that, a little white speck against the bright blue sky. Sir Dawnseeker took a step forward to follow it, then another step, and then another. He was so focused on the twirling wishmaker that he didn't notice where his feet were taking him. The wishmaker dipped and swooped, leading him off the sunny path and between two large, mossy trees. Crunch. The sound under Sir Dawnseeker's boot was different. It wasn't the friendly clomp of the cobblestones. It was the soft, deep crunch of pine needles. Sir Dawnseeker stopped whistling. He blinked. He looked up. The wishmaker was gone, and so was the sun. The world had changed. The friendly, familiar blue sky was now a deep, mysterious purple. The tall trees around him no longer looked like friendly giants, waving their leaves in the breeze. Now they stood like silent, dark guardians of a secret world. The air felt different too. It was cooler and carried a fresh, earthy smell of damp soil and night-blooming flowers. A soft, gentle sound filled the air, a sound like 1,000 tiny crickets rubbing their legs together in a peaceful, rhythmic song. Sir Dawnseeker was in the night woods. His heart gave a little thump inside his chest, a thump that felt less like bravery and more like a tiny, nervous drum. This was unfamiliar. This was not part of the plan. The quest was supposed to be over. He was supposed to be home, eating his own toast with honey, not standing in the deep, dark, unfamiliar woods. He took a step back, but all the trees looked the same. Which way was out? The little knight felt a shiver, and it wasn't from the cool air. He was lost. This was a problem. A big, dark, unfamiliar problem. Sir Dawnseeker's first thought was to run. To run very fast, clomping through the woods until he found the sun again. But a wise voice inside his head, a voice that sounded a bit like his grandmother, told him that running in the dark in an unfamiliar place was how nights ended up even more lost. So he stood very still, listening to the beat of his own nervous heart. But as he stood there, trying not to feel scared, he started to notice something else. The woods weren't just dark and scary. They were beautiful. Up above, through the gaps in the dark leaves, tiny twinkling lights had begun to appear. They weren't big and bright like the sun, but they were gentle and silvery. And they sparkled like a million tiny diamonds scattered across a velvet blanket. He had never seen so many stars. They were unfamiliar, but they were also wonderful. And then he saw a flash of light. Not a star, but a light right here in the woods with him. It zipped through the air, a tiny greenish-yellow speck that glowed for a moment and then disappeared. Sir Dawnseeker gasped. What was that? Before he could wonder too much, another one appeared. And then another. Soon the air around him was filled with these magical dancing lights. They weaved between the trees, blinking on and off in a silent, sparkling game of hide and seek. They were fireflies! He had heard of them, but he had never ever seen them because he was always inside before dark. They were so much more magical than he could have imagined. The little knight's nervous heart began to beat a little slower. His scared feelings started to feel a little more like curiosity. This was his first challenge, to stay calm and notice the new things around him. Can you take a deep breath with Sir Dawnseeker? A big, slow breath in through your nose, smelling the cool, fresh night air. And a slow breath out? Good. Now let's see what else we can find. As he stood there, breathing and watching the fireflies, he heard a new sound. It was a soft, low sound. Hoo-hoo. Hoo-hoo. It wasn't a scary sound. It was a gentle, questioning sound. It came from a branch above him. Sir Dawnseeker looked up, and there, silhouetted against the starry sky, was a large, beautiful owl. Its big, round eyes were watching him, not with a scary stare, but with a look of calm wisdom. The owl blinked slowly, then let out another soft hoo-hoo. It wasn't a threat. It was a hello. It was the sound of the night woods saying, "We see you." It's all right. This was a new friend with a new sound. Sir Dawnseeker felt his shoulders relax. Maybe the night wasn't something to be afraid of. Maybe it was just different. It had its own sun made of a million tiny stars. It had its own birds, like this wise and gentle owl. It had its own magical lights, the dancing fireflies. He realized his quest wasn't over after all. His new quest was to find his way home, but to do it by being brave enough to enjoy the journey through this unfamiliar, beautiful place. He decided to walk, but not to run. He would walk slowly and carefully, and he would use his ears and his eyes to help him. His second challenge was to listen to the night's symphony. The crickets were still singing their chirpy song. Chirp, 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 can you chirp like a cricket? Somewhere in the distance he heard the gentle rustle of leaves. It wasn't a scary monster rustle. It was probably just a little mouse or a kind-hearted badger starting its nightly activities. He heard the soft whisper of the wind through the pine needles, a sound much softer than the daytime wind whooshing through autumn leaves. It was a lullaby wind. He walked on, following a path of soft moss that seemed to glow faintly in the starlight. He was starting to understand the rhythm of the night. It wasn't loud and busy like the day. It was quiet and peaceful. It was a time for gentle sounds and soft glows. He wasn't lost in a scary place anymore. He was an explorer in a quiet, secret world. And then he saw it. Up ahead, there was a break in the trees. And in that clearing was the most unfamiliar and most spectacular sight of all. A small, still pond reflected the entire starry sky above it. It was like a second magical sky on the ground. And all around the edge of the pond, hundreds and hundreds of fireflies were dancing, their lights reflecting in the water too. It was a swirling, sparkling dance of light in the sky and light in the water. It was the most beautiful thing Sir Dawnseeker had ever seen. He walked to the edge of the pond, his armor making only the softest of sounds now. He sat down on a smooth, cool rock, Placing his basket with the precious strawberry carefully beside him, he just watched. He watched the fireflies dance. He listened to the cricket orchestra. He smelled the sweet scent of the night-blooming flowers that grew by the water. He felt the cool, calm night air on his face. And for the first time ever, Sir Dawnseeker didn't wish for the sun to come back. He was exactly where he was meant to be, experiencing the quiet fun of the night. He had faced the challenge of the unfamiliar. He had not run away. He had stayed, he had breathed, and he had listened. And by joining in the quiet fun of the night, by appreciating its beauty, he had found his way. Not just to the beautiful pond, but to a new understanding. The world was full of different kinds of wonderful, and he didn't need to be afraid of them. As he sat there, feeling happy and peaceful, he noticed something on the other side of the pond. A little path led away from the water, a path he recognized. It was the path that led right back to the cobblestone road home. The magical night had shown him the way. He had solved the problem not by fighting or running, but by being calm, curious, and brave enough to appreciate something new. Sir Dawnseeker stood up. He felt taller. He felt wiser. He picked up his basket and gave one last look at the sparkling pond and the dancing fireflies. He gave a little wave to the wise old owl who hoo-hooed a soft goodbye. Then Sir Dawnseeker, the knight who had discovered the joy of the night, walked down the familiar path toward home, his heart full of a new, quiet happiness. He arrived at his little cottage just as the first, tiniest sliver of the sun was beginning to peek over the distant hills. He put the perfect strawberry in his fridge for the Queen's party later. He took off his armor, and as he climbed into bed, the sky outside his window was turning from black to softest blue. He had finished his quest after sundown, and it had been his very best adventure yet. He closed his eyes, listening to the last few crickets singing their good-night song, and he fell asleep with a smile, dreaming of silent, sparkling dances and soft, wise hoots. He couldn't wait to see what other unfamiliar wonders the world had in store for him. What shall we learn about in our next adventure? Will we learn about the sounds of the rainforest? Or maybe the feelings of friendship? Join us next time to find out. Moral core: joining in with curiosity and a calm heart is the key to understanding and enjoying new things.